faithfully delivering value, exploring great books worldwide. Hello, this is Sally's Book Club. Today we're diving into the book In Search of Lost Time. If we were to list the most revered yet hardest to finish classics in literary history, In Search of Lost Time would easily make top three. This massive novel overwhelms readers with its labyrinthine structure, temporal shifts, and dense philosophical musings. But critics claim Proust's masterpiece transcends conventional criticism. It contains multitudes of literary virtues. Thus, Proust became the most discussed yet least read author in modern literature. Marcel Proust, born 1871 in Paris, was a frail yet acutely perceptive aristocrat. In his youth, Proust charmed Parisian society with refined manners and social grace. At 35, worsening asthma drove him into seclusion, where he began weaving memories into literature. He poured every contradictory nuance of human experience into his writing until his death in 1922. Essentially, he dedicated a third of his life to this singular literary pursuit. We all know this novel's legendary status and notorious difficulty. Proust devotee Somerset Maugham once said, "I'd rather read Proust till boredom than seek shallow pleasures elsewhere." So how should we approach this literary colossus? What does reading Proust mean for us modern readers? Let's explore through the novel's core narrative and three central themes. In Search of Lost Time is fundamentally about time. Following a wealthy yet sickly young protagonist's journey, Marcel serves as protagonist, narrator, and Proust's literary alter ego. Thus, the novel becomes autobiographical memory-artistry. Spanning 7 volumes, the Chinese translation exceeds 2.4 million characters. As Anatole France noted, life's too short, Proust's too long. The novel features hundreds of characters and endless themes. While lacking traditional narrative cohesion, the novel gradually reveals its nuanced beauty through sustained reading. Let's begin by outlining each volume's essence. Volume 1. Swan's Way opens with Marcel awakening in 1902, memories flooding through unfamiliar surroundings. Here begins his mental journey through cities and bedrooms from his past. Ironically, Swan's Way faced initial rejections for being too uneventful. 30 pages detailing just a boy's pre-sleep thoughts, Proust writes, "These tangled memories last mere seconds, spatial disorientation breeding endless hypotheses. We grasp them like galloping horses in a zoetrope, never quite catching individual frames." Marcel first recalls childhood nights when guests delayed parental goodnights. Sleeplessness fractures memory's coherence. Then, epiphany, a tea-dipped madeleine cake resurrects lost time. Cambrai emerges, Marcel's childhood home and the novel's temporal key. Here dwells Gilbert, 1895 love revisited, now estranged. Parallel narratives, Swann's obsessive love mirrors Marcel's later passions. Volume 2. In the Shadow of Young Girls. In Flower expands 1895's story. Marcel and Gilbert drift apart through misunderstandings. 1897 brings seaside escapes and new love. Albertine emerges. Volume 3, The Gourmante's Way, chronicles Marcel's family moving near aristocratic Marmonte. Here, Marcel witnesses his grandmother's decline and aristocracy's hypocrisy. Volume 4 continues this thread, exploring delayed grief through memory. Initially, Marcel felt numb when his grandmother passed. But one 1900 night, undoing shoes himself, grief struck like thunder. This mundane act resurrected childhood memories of her tender care. Real loss comes not with death, but life's silent absences. Proust names this the intermittences of the heart, grief's delayed waves. Volume 4 also unveils Parisian homosexuality and Albertine's introduction. Marcel's waning interest reignites when Albertine hints at sapphic affairs. Tortured by jealousy, he proposes cohabitation. Entering Volume 5, The Captive, the prisoner depicts Marcel's desperate surveillance regime. Yet confinement fuels paranoia. Only Albertine's sleep brings peace. This claustrophobic episode collapses when Albertine vanishes without warning. Volume 6. The fugitive continues this toxic spiral beyond her death. Even equestrian fatality can't kill Marcel's jealous obsession. Only time's alchemy finally transforms torment into acceptance. Volume 7. Time Regained forms the masterpiece's philosophical climax. We return to 1902, Marcel awakening in that unfamiliar room. Decades pass in sanatorium confinement after this opening. Post WWI Paris, Marcel attends Princess de Guermantes' soiree, tormented by perceived literary inadequacy until, en route to the party, childhood epiphanies resurface, uneven cobblestones mimicking Venice's Piazza San Marco, clinking spoons, echoing train journeys past. Each sensory trigger becomes literary revelation. The key isn't talent, it's finding life's hidden patterns. This truth manifests during the final masquerade ball. Friends transformed into walking memento mori by time's passage. Faces masked by decades, living Venitas portraits. Between salvific memory and time's cruelty, Marcel begins writing. Thus concludes the novel's narrative framework. In 1908, Correspondence, Proust outlined his grand design. A study of aristocracy, Parisian chronicle, Flaubert critique, tombstone analyses, stained glass meditations, novel theory. This encyclopedic vision manifests through three core themes. The novel's first theme is time, that ever-present current we all navigate daily. We intimately understand time's passage, lovers lost, neighborhoods transformed beyond recognition. But Proust transmutes this pain into art, forging life's flux into 3,000 pages of literary alchemy. Like Bergson meeting Monet, he captures time's texture through sensory details. A madeleine's crumb, a starched napkin's scent. This metamorphosis recovers lost time while intensifying lived experience. Here lies the novel's magic, making art from life's ephemera. Originally conceived in 1912 as 2 volumes, Time Lost and Time Regained, two temporal dimensions, chronological decay versus psychological resurrection. Psychological time, memory's reality, becomes recoverable through art's prism. Between these temporal planes dwells the intermittences of the heart. This duality lets us hold mortality's approach and youth's potential in simultaneous awareness.